established Rich coming right back at you. And today we talking about Big Meech. And the way he sound in this new interview just don't sit right with me. I'm not mad that he talking. I'm listening to how he talking. Because when you really listen, it don't sound like somebody who left their life. It sound like somebody who still see it the same way, just saying it's smoother now.
The feds kind of kept a lot of, because we was too much. You know, and I think the feds kind of downplayed a lot of stuff dealing with us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That people don't even understand.
They ain't want y'all to look as big as y'all really was.
Right. You got people that sit up and say, oh, well, they had a drug amount. I think it said something like 495 keys, something like that. And like 200 of them, J-Rock got caught with, red-handed in L.A. So he got so basically that would put us around 295 keys. So you got a certain podcaster like, well, I don't think they really had that much because they only got caught with these. This is the only keys that they caught up. Because we wasn't getting caught all the time.
Niggas moving right.
We wasn't losing loads.
You gotta think how long y'all run was.
Right.
They had this shit figured out.
I got a 22-year run and I got a 15-year documented conspiracy. My conspiracy is 15 years. My conspiracy is not from 2000 to 2005. My conspiracy is from 1990 to 2005. And I don't have one word in our indictment. DEA said, the DEA and the Fed said they never seen me with any drugs. They never heard me talk about no drugs. Never seen me make a sale or none of that.
Yeah.
And I signed for 30 years.
I just see you balling.
Listen to the words. Listen to the energy. Because the story sounds good, the money sounds good, but that don't mean it was good. And this is where I gotta slow down. Because we throw one word around too easy. Success. And I'm listening like, hold up. You can't call something a success if you're doing it illegal. You can call it money, you can call it power, you can call it a moment, but you can't call it success because success don't come with handcuffs attached to it. Success don't come with a 20-year sentence waiting on you. Success don't come with communities getting destroyed while you counting profits. That's not success. That's temporary success. That's something that looked big for a moment, but then reality came and collected every dollar back. And that's the part I'm not hearing enough. I'm hearing what he built. I'm hearing how big it was, but I'm not hearing what it did to people. And that matters because you can't talk about one side of the life and act like the other side don't exist.
Tell me this though, right? How the fuck did y'all come up with making it rain?
Because the ones was garbage. The ones and the fives was garbage.
But how did it make, like, how the fuck did that happen though?
I'm finna give it to you. The ones and fives was garbage. You gotta remember, I'm plugged in with big cartels, Colombians, or motherfucking Mexicans.
Yeah.
So back in the day when we first started fucking around with the Colombians, they won't take no ones and fives. So when you getting 100 bricks at a time, you know, getting front 100 bricks at a time, you got to keep all the ones and fives.
Oh,
now,
shit.
The jury store not going to take, they're going to take them only so many times.
Right.
Then we try and walk around with hundreds and 50s so we don't look like drug dealers.
Yeah.
So you definitely don't want to go on. Just take $5,000 in ones and Foot Locker.
Yeah, that shit looks stupid.
And see how long it's going to take. Because they got to understand they going to count it. They ain't not going to weigh it or none of that. They're going to count one for one to make sure. You know what I'm saying? And so it's only so much cars and jury that they'll let you say, Meech, I can't take no more. Meech, T, I can't take no more ones. So now you stuck with them. So you look up, we got garbage bags full of ones and fives. So guess what we can get rid of them at?
Strip club.
Strip club. They pay their bills, they pay for the kids, look out for the kids, everything. Do that. So if I got $350,000 worth of ones and fives, we're going to go throw the $350,000.
So basically making it rain was giving back.
Damn.
Right. Right.
and finding something to do with
Look at the Chamber Brothers.
Yeah, they had,
Look at the video they did.
I remember that video,
in the 80s. And they threw the one. What we going to do with all this?
Yeah.
We just going to throw it back.
Remember that video.
Back. We just going to give it back. Okay, that's because that's Detroit way. That was our era.
Does that sound like somebody who sees it different? Or does it sound like somebody who is still proud of it? And I'm going to take it a step further because it ain't just about him. This is about a mindset. This is about how we define success in our culture. Because if we start calling illegal money success, we start confusing young people. We start making it seem like as long as you got money, you won. And that ain't true because if you got to lose your freedom to get it, you ain't winning. If people got to lose their life to sustain it, you're not winning. If families got to suffer behind it, you're not winning. You just had a moment. and that moment cost more than it was worth. And then he said something that really stood out to me. He said instead of giving somebody a gun, he gave them drugs so they could hustle. And I get what he think he meant by that in his mind. He think he gave somebody a path, but that ain't a path. That's just a different kind of damage, because that drug don't stop at one person. It hit the mamas, it hit the kids, it hit the people who never even had a say in it. So when you frame it like you help somebody, I can't just sit here and act like that makes sense.
Oh, I bet they blow all their money in the club. How?
Right.
How? I got $8 million worth of cars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got $8.5 million worth of cars.
Yeah.
I got 3 or 4 homes and condos in 7 states.
Damn. What was your favorite place to be at? And just kick it at?
Man, I like each place for different reasons. I stayed in Houston and Dallas, which I got picked up in Frisco, Texas, in Dallas, outside of Dallas. I stayed in LA, stayed in Atlanta, lived in St. Louis since 91, Birmingham, Alabama, and Orlando, Florida, and Miami, Florida.
Now, after all of that, this is where it got real for me. I can respect the fact that he did his time. I can respect the fact that he stood on what he stood on. But I can't call it success. I just can't. Because success ain't just money. Success is how you got that money and what it costs along the way. And if we being real, that life he talking about, it was always temporary. It was built on something that could not last. And when you build on that, it don't matter how big it get. It's always gonna fall. And that's exactly what happened. But here's where it gets deeper. Because when you do that much time, part of you stays where you left off. The world moves on. But your mindset can stay locked in that era. So when you come back out, you still talking from that same place. And that's what this sounds like to me. It don't sound like full growth. It sounds like experience without complete transformation. And I ain't even trying to diss him. I'm just being real. Because growth sounds different. Growth sounds like somebody who says, yeah, I did that and it was wrong. Not just, yeah, I did that and look how big I was. There's a difference, a big difference. And that difference matters when people are listening to you. Because somebody out there looking at him like a blueprint. And if we not careful, people gonna keep confusing temporary money with real success. And those two things ain't never been the same. And that's why this conversation don't stop at just one interview. This is about how we listen and what we choose to take from it. Because let me take y'all here for a second. When you hear somebody talk like that, you gotta ask yourself what part of it is truth and what part of it is image. Because image can sound real good. Image can sound powerful. Image can sound like something you want to be a part of. But image don't always tell you what it really costs. And that's the part that gets left out too often. Because when he talk about it, he talk about the money, the cause. But I'm thinking about the other side. The people who never got to tell their story. The people who got caught up in his world and never made it out. The people who doing time and their name don't ring bells. The people who lost their life that ain't nobody making documentaries about. That's part of the same story. And when you leave that out, you're not telling the full truth. You telling the part that sound good. And that's why I got to step in and balance it out. Because it ain't about tearing them down. This is about not lying to ourselves about what we call success. Because if we call it net success, we start lowering the standards. We start making it seem like long as you got money, the method don't matter. And that's a dangerous way to think because the method always matters. How you get it matters. What it does to people matters. What you leave behind matters. And if we ignore that, we just keep recycling the same outcome. New faces, same story. And that's what I don't want to see no more. Because you got young dudes right now hearing this, trying to figure out what their next move should be. And if all they hear is money, power, respect, without hearing consequences, loss, pain, then what you think they gonna choose? They gonna choose what sound good. And that's why this matters. Because we gotta start being honest about what this really is. This ain't success. This is survival dressed up to look like success. And there's a difference because survival is about getting through the moment. Success is about building something that lasts. And you can't build nothing that lasts on something that was never right to begin with. It don't work like that. It may look like it's working, but just give it time. It will always show you what it really is. And that's what we're seeing right now. A man with a big story, but a story that still sounds like it's missing a piece. And that piece is accountability, full accountability. Not just I did what I did, but this is what I did to people. And until you hear that, it's hard to say his mindset really changed. And again, this ain't me judging him. That's me listening and not ignoring what I hear. Because we too old now to keep romanticizing this. We too experienced now to act like we don't know how this ends. We done seen too many stories play out the same way. So at this point, we got to start calling it what it really is. Not what it look like, not what it sound like, but what it really is. And what it really is a temporary run that comes with permanent consequences. And that's not success. That's a lesson. And whether people want to hear that or not, that's the truth. But hey, That's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe. Established Rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.